Italy against France this weekend, folks, in the Six Nations 2025. France have brought some forwards with them. These two teams are already kind of the most mismatched sides in terms of Italy being the lightest pack in the Six Nations, France being the heaviest. Well, France have doubled down on that, bringing a 7-1 split. Just Maxime Lucu on the bench. The rest are forwards. France are going to try and dominate this Italian pack up front. We will see how well the Italians can deal with it. They've had something of a smart kicking game about them, and they are the one side that seems quite happy just to opt for 3 points and keep that scoreboard ticking over. Will that be enough against France? Well, let's wait and see. We'll go through some of the squad changes for both sides, the stats between these two teams, recent history predictions, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on whether the 7-1 split for the French is a good idea. The Italian starting 15 is largely the same as the team which beat Wales a fortnight ago. They have made a change in the front row with Lucchesi and Niccolo swapping spots at hooker, but those guys have been the mainstay of Gonzalo Quesada's selections for quite a while now, so there's no real dramas which guy starts and which guy is on the bench. Fischetti and Ferrari, these two starting props. There is a change with Spagnolo having served his suspension, coming in on the bench, which is a bit of a boost in terms of experience as the reserve loosehead, and Zilocchi comes in for Riccioni as the replacement tight head. The locks are still Cannone and Ruzza. There's no Dino Lamb this week. He's got a shoulder injury, so Favretto is the replacement lock for them. So that is a change on the bench, but I think it's the 50th appearance for Cannone, so congratulations to him. That's quite an achievement, and he'll be looking to bring some physicality up against the big French pack, which might be a little bit lighter this week because they are missing one of their big units. Back row wise, it's unchanged. It's Negri, it's Lamaro, and Lorenzo. Cannone. We can expect to see Lamaro getting through some tackles, but it was also Lorenzo Cannone in their last performance. I think he made 17 against the Welsh, so not normally what his number one stat is. He's more of a ball carrier, but can certainly put in quite a defensive outing as well. The 19 combo of Page-Relo and Garbisi continues on. They've been both able to put the boot into ball to get some territory, because often they've been living with less possession than their opponents, but as I mentioned, quite happy to put in the kicks to control where the game is being played. Menoncello and Brex, the same midfield. They didn't get a heck of a lot of ball to carry in the wet against the Welsh, but we know what danger those guys have provided. Brex scored a try in the opening game against the Scots. Simone Gesi comes in on the left wing ahead of the injured Monty Ioane, and Ange Capuozzo is on the right wing, who has one of those rare performances last game, like a fortnight ago, where he managed to chalk up a try without getting any run meters. His stats were 2 runs, no meters, 1 try. How do you get a try with no meters? Well, you dot down a kick, which you've chased through. So that's what I mean about the Italian kicking game. They can get some certainly good pay with that. And then a big part of that is Tommaso Allan. He's there at fullback. He's been their main goal kicker. He was looking pretty much unstoppable with the boot last game until he missed a couple, which he might have otherwise got. You feel like against the French, he'll probably need to get them all if he is given that opportunity. Other guys on the bench for the Italians, Zuliani and Vincent, are the two other forward replacements. So they've gone 6-2 split, which a lot of the sides have been going for the Six Nations. Garbisi, that's Alessandro, and Trula are the other two back replacements. But they haven't gone for as many forwards as the French have. The French have got 7 forwards on the bench. The starting 15 has also largely changed. Gros, Molvaca and Antonio, that is one area of stability with the front row. But Flamand is back into the 23, so good to see him after missing the opening couple of rounds with injury. I love that guy's skill set. Him and Ruzza are two of my favorite locks playing the game today, so seeing them go head-to-head will be interesting. Michele Guillard will partner him in the second row, which is a bit of a downgrade in terms of pure weight. Emmanuel Miafu is unfortunately ill, so unavailable for selection, but he's a good, I think, 20-plus kilograms lighter. So the French pack is not quite as pure heavy as it has been in some of the previous weeks. Kos, Boudéon, and Aldrit round out the back row. Kos continues to be that tackling machine. Aldrit continues to be the guy who's going to chalk through all the run meters. So, yeah, pretty steady as she goes otherwise. The backs have more changes. And the backs dropped a lot of ball, which may be part of the reason. Dupont partners Ramos in the 9-10 combo this week. Ramos shifting from fullback to number 10. Seems like Jalibert has just pure missed out on selection. Midfield-wise, Barassi continues on at 13. Moefana at 12. There's no changes there. I believe Fiku is back fit, but he is not selected for this one. Bielle-Biarrey did not have the axe swing on him. On the left wing, he has been unbelievable at chasing those kicks through for tries, but the right wing has seen a change. Pinot is out. Atisogbe is back in after playing in round 1, and then Leo Beret gets his chance at fullback. So, yes, there have been a few guys to miss out with those changes, namely Pinot and Jalibert. Bench-wise, Marchand by Aldegheri, those are your front row replacements. So Aldegheri comes into the 23. Taufifenua is also a big unit of a lock to come in on the bench as the replacement lock. Jegu, Ruma, and Gelon are also there as well. There's just the one back in Maxime Luku. So fingers crossed for the French. There are no injuries early on in the back line, but they do have guys versatile enough to fill in if needs be. Some stats for you guys. The French back three in their last game combined for 6 clean breaks between Ramos, Pinot, and Bielle-Biarrey, but they had more turnovers conceded than they had clean breaks, which they will not be happy with about. They dropped far too much ball. But that being said, the Italian backs in their last game against Wales combined for a total of 114 run meters, which is less than Thomas Ramos had alone, but very different weather conditions. The Italian game was played in the driving rain. It was not really a game to put the ball through the hands. But fingers crossed we see the Italian guys, I don't know, attempt to unleash the backs a bit because they have got some talented players in that back line. Now the Italian lineout and tackle numbers across the first 2 games have been pretty solid. And they are, as I said, quite happy to keep the scoreboard ticking over with penalties rather than tries. But one area they have looked a little bit vulnerable is the maul. They conceded some close-range tries against Wales in the last game, which you feel like the French have certainly taken note of and picked a squad accordingly to try and dominate and bully the Italian guys close to the line. For the French, they are so dangerous on their kicks through. I mentioned Louis Bielle-Biarrey. His ability to chase those kicks is second to none. They have had tries in both games thus far in the Six Nations from those kicks through. But the handling, to be honest, in both of their games, even the big win against Wales, has not been great. It didn't cost them against Wales because they were still able to put on a lot of points, but you could definitely say the lack of secure handling cost them against England. Their penalty count, though, is actually pretty low. Their discipline has been pretty good. Both games they have been less than 10 penalties conceded, which is good, especially if you're facing an Italian team who wants to punish every time you concede penalties. So they are potentially not going to give the Italians so many chances to kick goals. So it'll be interesting to see if the Italians are forced to play a little bit more ambitiously with this one. Recent history between the sides does all go France's way. Of the last 5 games, there are 4 French wins, but there is also a draw. So this Italian squad has been able to give the French a bit of a scare in the Six Nations. There's still been some big scorelines. There's a 50 points to 10 result. There's a 60 points to 7. There's a 37-10 among the last 5, all pretty big wins. But there's also the draw, which was 13-all in France last year. And then a couple of years ago in Rome, it was 29-24. So France, not always able to put the Italians away. But, I don't know, it seems to be a bit of a flip of a coin. Average score across the last 5 is 38 points to 13 in France's favour. So they will undoubtedly go into this one as big-time favourites. The last Italian win over the French came way back in 2013. A game which saw Sergio Parisse and Louis Picamoles both score tries. The only player who played in that one, I believe, was Romain Taufifenua, who was on the bench for that game as well for France. Predictions. The French are 17-point favourites with the bookies and 16-point favourites with the Rugby Forecast algorithm. So predicted to get this one done relatively easy. It is on at Stadio Olimpico. It is on at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which is the 4 o'clock in the morning time for me here in New Zealand on a Monday, which is not the most pleasant time. But I'll take 4 o'clock over 3:15. Carl Dixon, the Englishman, is the ref. Fingers crossed he has a good game. He's sometimes a bit of a live wire ref, bit of a left field call every now and again, but we'll see how he goes. It's rank 10 Italy up against rank 4 France. Can you see the Italians giving the French another scare, or do you think France bounce back from that disappointing England result and put Italy to the sword? You guys let us know your thoughts. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.